Let's bring him in now. He's taking a big, deep breath. YouTube sensation, host of Goes All Right podcast, KDOS38 on Instagram. Everyone knows him. Caden MacDonald, welcome to the show.
Lads, thanks for having me. Headphones, big game changer. I can hear now. So happy days are here to stay. How are you travelling?
It makes whispering way more fun because you can just go, hey, mate,
and I know
you have a bit of fun with the microphones.
ASMR podcast is on the cards, I feel.
That's
Yeah,
us.
it's very good.
You asked us how we were going, KDOS. We asked the questions here, mate.
Yeah.
I know you're normally the interview guy, but...
So I thought I was sort of taking these home and putting it on my socials.
Yeah,
no.
we can split them up. We'll split it up.
I'll put my feet up. I don't have to really think too much.
Mate,
Nothing.
whatever
You just
like.
answer.
It's an RDO for me.
Yeah.
Correct. Correct. Mate, we were just talking. You are fresh off the Brownlow Medal. You just crashed the after party. How did this happen?
Well,
You were on the red carpet.
We saw you on the red carpet.
so I feel like you guys were on the red carpet and we were sort of near the door.
No, the door was the good spot
Yeah,
to be.
It was actually.
Because
It
we
was.
were at
The
the
door.
wide part of the red carpet.
Yeah.
You were down the
Yeah.
narrow part of the red carpet. So everyone bottlenecked into you.
It was
You were like
when
an
when
Ethiopian pirate, just catching people as they come out of the wide sea.
I was going to go fishing, like down the river. We sort of went to like the narrowest point.
Absolutely.
Put a net, reeled a few
was
in.
Yep.
I've got one funny story from the carpet. So
Good.
I butchered my question to Caden MacDonald.
CEO of the AFL, the big boss, the biggest of bosses.
I choked. Marshall
What
Mathers
happened?
style.
Good. I'll just drop your mic lower so then we can see you a bit better.
No, yeah, don't you sit up high. You sit comfy and
Yeah,
then
there you
pull
go.
it there.
I told you I had a hunch.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Gillen came over. So I was a little bit fatigued. I was trying to shoot some content on Sunday. So we played a bit
Busy day, mate.
bit of a footy day, a footy game early Sunday. Raced up to the Brownlow, had the shower, got to the carpet. There was about 8, 9, 10 guests float through, and I felt like I nailed it. I got a little bit confident, but fatigue started to set in. Gillen McLaughlin comes through, and we go, well, we got to get Gillen. So we called him over, and the bloke that he was sort of getting ushered through with went, all right, boys, one question. Like, yeah, we don't have much time. So I sort of gave him a big pump up. This is the head man of the AFL. And then I just completely choked and I ran out of things to say. So I was like, Gillen McLaughlin, head of the AFL. Gil, you pumped? and he sort of looked at me, looked at our YouTube setup. We had the dodgiest camera, the dodgiest mic, and he went, thanks, boys. Yeah, I got a big role to play. He gave me heaps. He gave me, we didn't deserve.
Oh,
We didn't
that's
deserve
great.
the amount that he gave me. So that was unreal. Then we sort of hung around Crown for a little bit and managed to sneak into the after party, and I'm still a little bit dusty a couple of
Yeah,
days.
great.
How do you
We're
sneak-
recording this on a Tuesday, and I'm not gonna lie, mate. You're not your usual exuberant self. You were actually really up and about at the Brownlow today.
Yeah,
You seem a little fragile.
yeah. I'm tapering back into grand final day.
Okay.
You know when boxers take a couple of days off?
Yeah.
So grand final day I'll be back, but this is just my taper period.
Yeah, good.
So how
That's
do you
right.
crash the Brownlow Medal after party? How do you go about that?
Yeah, look, it was fish out of water stuff. I get a bit of imposter syndrome, and walking into the Brownlow after party, it was
As an AFL player,
yeah. Well, I
that
got
makes kind of sense. Though.
Yeah. I got away with. I was trying to say I was Papley, but no one would have believed that. But fish out of water, imposter syndrome. Walked in. So Tom Mitchell through ball magnets just said, "Boys, I'll get you in." He rang.
Did you know who you were getting in before you were like on the
No,
day?
it was sort of like as the night went on, he was like pumped that Cripper got up because he was a part of ball magnets and was like, "Boys, we're going to the after
Are
party."
you still around? And you're like, absolutely,
And we're
we're
like-
still around. We were hanging for this text.
And what were you doing while the Brownlow Medal was happening? Did you try and crash the Brownlow itself?
No. So we might have been on the pokies while we were
Okay.
just
Good.
treading water
Yep.
a little bit. Gamble
Good one.
responsibly.
Ricky's
Um,
laptop.
So yeah, we were just cruising and we couldn't quite get onto Tommy, and by chance he just floated through where we were just chilling. So he grabbed myself, my co-host of Goes Alright, Connor Rogers, and the Shep mates.
Brilliant.
And we all walked in, and it was just so silly.
At what point, when you were in there, were you like, "Well, this is dumb. Like I shouldn't be here."
Yeah, well, when I saw, now I don't want to talk out of school because
You don't want to reveal the secrets.
well, I'm going to reveal them. I'm a normal punter that'll never be back there. But when you sort of walk in and it's Razor Ray to your left,
Yep.
BT to your right, Took Miller from Gold Coast, straight ahead, some very fancy sort of finger food getting delivered. That's when you go, Yeah, this is silly.
We're on.
This is
We're
real,
on.
This is real silly.
Did it? There's always that saying, never meet your heroes. True or not true? Best night ever?
Meet your heroes. Meet your heroes for sure.
Grouse.
I might have bailed up Clayton Oliver.
Love
Good.
this.
And what did you have to say to Clayton?
I literally just went, we'll call a spade a spade. I love you.
And how did he respond?
Mutual love.
Did he know? Did he know who you were? Surely.
I think he knew me in terms of the nuffy that hangs around training. And,
Yes.
Leans over the fence. I'm not sure whether he's familiar with
Old
some of
League,
my AFL Evo videos, but there was a mutual love. There was a bond, and no, it was unbelievable night, and
Good.
still sort of processing it.
Who was
Good on you, mate.
who was having the biggest crack at the after party?
Who was having the biggest crack? Geez, probably. Well, yeah, probably Tom Mitchell.
Yeah.
I did actually see a few photos of Tom, and he looked like a little bit worse for
He was
wear.
having a crack.
He was having a great, well, because obviously he's really close with Cripper. So, they were having a ripping night. A deserved winner. And, I won't be allowed back, and I shouldn't have been there, so I'll take it to my grave.
Mate, unreal. That's so good. Mate, let's take it way back, though. So this all started, well, the reason that you're kind of involved in this space is because you are an unashamed Melbourne Demons football nuffy.
Yes.
Who's happened to convert that nuffiness into an online presence.
Yes.
And you've just dragged everyone along with you.
Yeah. Well,
where did the D's start?
Look, it was my dad. So he came over from Scotland in 1958. 1964. Born in 1957. Came over in 1964. He's about 6 or 7 years old. Gets to a Melbourne primary school, and everyone's asking the Scottish new kid, "Who do you go for?" And he's like, "Mate, I've got no idea what this sport is." But because it was 1964, there was balloons and streamers and red and blue sort of stuff all around the town, because that was our last flag. So he's rocked up, seen the 1964 flag as a 6-year-old Scottish kid,
This is
and gone,
perfect. I'll pick a hot team.
sign me up. Success is our way.
Yeah.
50
We are flying.
We
There is no one hotter than us in 1964. Nothing could ever go wrong. We'll be winning premierships until I die.
57 years later, and I was sort of going, "Dad, what have you done to us?" So a little bit of a drought between drinks there. That's not the saying, but we'll move on. The D's.
But it is a drought between drinks when you think about it. Though. Not a lot of liquid
absolutely.
in between the
I'm
drinks.
actually so thirsty right now. But that's okay.
So 57 years the D's went without a drought. 26 of those I was around for, and I was real sort of glass half empty. I was going, what are we going for Melbourne for?
An affliction. Your Demon supporter, it was a genuine affliction. That
Absolutely.
Your dad had put onto you. Like, Dad, you've wrecked my life.
There was moments there where it was absolutely ruined. And I am a Geelong-based Melbourne supporter, so
You live in Geelong.
So the one game of the year.
Bro. Oh, mate, this is so bad.
So the one game of the year, my heroes come down to K Park, and I get tickets and I go every year. And in 05 and 06, we sort of were competitive, but every other time, like my heroes, rock stars, get off the bus, they're in town.
Guy Rigoni, Daniel Ward,
Clint Bizzle's rolling in, David Neitz. I loved it. Was my favourite time of the year, but it just got ruined. And obviously the famous one I went to in 2011, the D's came down, lost by 186 points.
186 points.
It was a few umpiring
That's
decisions
so
away from
much.
turning the game.
bad luck, just a bit of bad luck.
That's so much.
So I
that's
stayed the
so
4
bad.
quarters, stuck it out. I had my little Nokia flip-top phone, and as we're leaving, I took a photo of the scoreboard and said, "I'm going to look at this when we're good." Took another 12 years, but but we're back-ish.
Did you look at the picture? And you're like, this is the best. And then you chucked it in the Yarra.
I can't find the phone, but that definitely happened. But I don't have the photo to prove it. So.
The message, that image is burnt in your head. Sometimes I do that. If I want to remember something, just take a photo with my phone. And that's like the physical.
Because it's the yin and the yang. Like when I'm losing by 186 points, it makes winning the flag so much better. Like I'm going to see a flag. I don't know if I have yet, because technically I didn't see it live in the flesh.
How much did that kill you?
Yeah, it was tough. It was a bit of a joke, wasn't it? It was sort of like the one time the D's were successful.
Cruel twist.
Let's just take the P155 again.
A cruel twist. A cruel twist.
But if that's the only one I see, I'll take it.
Oh, don't do that to yourself, mate.
Yeah.
There was a great quote from Bob Murphy after the Doggies won the flag, and he was saying that he compared Hawthorn and Geelong to mountain climbers. They win premierships like mountain climbers. They climb one, and they go, okay, cool, what's the next mountain? Next one. And he said that the Doggies won their flag like they were going to the moon.
Astronaut.
You fly to the moon, and you're like, cool, well, we're here. We're not going anywhere else. And then that's why they've had that decline. Be mountain climbers. Don't be astronauts.
I'm just worried about the run rate. So we're one every 57 years right now. So
It's
I'm going to
grim.
be 84.
That's all right.
You'll probably end up on the news, to
to
be
the next
fair.
one.
Like,
Yeah.
you'll end up on the news as like an old dude who loves Melbourne.
And they might get out my old YouTube clips and be like, this
Absolutely.
is when they won
Yeah.
the first one.
Absolutely.
So YouTube started years ago. How did that marry up to your to your football love?
Yeah, how long ago did you start? 7 years was your first video.
We
That's
watched
the
your video 7 years ago.
Harry
What's-
Styles interview,
Oh, yes. That was
which is a hot start.
It is.
like how good to get Harry Styles.
For the very first
huge.
YouTube video, interviews Harry Styles.
Yeah. Hey, Harry, you're free?
That's crazy.
Don't know if you heard of me.
And he was a bit sort of
Wasn't
some of his answers were a bit out of context, which was
Yeah.
well, he wasn't like as forthcoming as one would hope, but that's okay. I
Short, a
mean,
lot of yes and no
he was probably
answers.
nervous, I guess.
So it's funny that you bring that up. So that was my first video in 2015. I was doing Geelong Community Radio at
How old were you? 2015.
2015. Would have been 19, 20.
Yep.
I was doing 94.7 The Pulse. Shout out and tune in. I think there's the Elvis Hour, 5 o'clock every afternoon. And, maybe an Italian cooking show every night at 8 o'clock. But yeah, it was a great place to start your journey. 94.7 The Pulse. I couldn't get any guests, so I thought it would be funny to sort of clickbait and pretend that I got Harry Styles. So I was doing the Almost Friday show, and it was 11 o'clock on a Thursday night.
Great.
We do it for an hour. And yeah, I was like, Harry Styles is on. Stick around. I was doing hooks. I was,
Real radio craft.
absolutely. And then, yeah, dropped that great interview. I put that on YouTube in 2015 and sort of lost my login for a little while there. I came back and there's like 70 comments from Directioners going, you're trying to make him out as a womanizer. He would never answer like this. This is fake. You suck. And I was like, oh, geez, I don't know what I've tapped into here, but I better keep going. So,
But I tell you what, they all watched it. Every watch counts.
So from that point, I thought, yeah, I'll give YouTube a crack. I sort of got into a bit of a crossroads with radio. So from community radio, I did the Radio Training Institute in Melbourne, and I wanted to be, Hamish and Andy. Really, that
Everybody does.
it was a bit of a radio cliche at radio school. We sort of went around the room, and everyone was like, "Why are you getting into radio?" And they put a line through people saying Hamish and Andy.
Really?
So they were like, "Oh, everyone says Hamish and Andy, so that doesn't count. You need a new one." And I was like, "Well, I'm not going to pick the, I want to pick the best." So yeah, the dream was to be Hamish and Andy.
Except there's only one of you, which makes it difficult.
Yeah, so I was sort of.
Which one would you have been, Hamish or Andy?
Well, I was handy for a bit.
Handy. Okay, good.
But it didn't quite work. Like you need someone to bounce off. Out of context, that sounds. a
It's
bit-
tough
Well,
because you only
I
get
mean, you
Harry
probably were
Styles
handy too,
once so often. You only get Harry every now and then. So
Yeah.
And I butchered it with the solo show. I needed,
Yeah.
I needed that duo. So yeah, I wanted to be Hamish and Andy. Went to radio school. Couldn't get a gig anywhere out. Once I left school, like I was applying at Ballarat, Dubbo, middle of WA.
all radio jobs.
I just wanted to get on air. And then I was crying to my radio lecturer who used to work in this building, Danny O'Grady. I was like, oh, no one's giving me a job. It must be them. And he's like, nah, mate, it's you.
Whoa.
He goes, there's no reason you should be sitting around in 2016 doing nothing. You should have a podcast or a YouTube channel. And from then I was like, that's it. I'm just having a crack at it. So I did YouTube ever since. And some of the footy songs and whatnot started to take off. I started trying to sort of replicate the footy show's parody songs. And since then, yeah, I've sort of lent into the footy stuff because, yeah, I'm a footy nuffy. So far, so good.
When Danny
O'Grady.
O'Grady comes to you and says, nah, mate, it's you.
Yep.
Was he talking skills and ability, or was he talking just attitude to find a job or to... Yeah, you were going in there with like some real like white guy privilege.
Yeah, there was
Nothing bad has ever happened. Give us a job. Why won't anyone give me a job today? It's so strange. We've been there.
It was a little bit of that, but it was sort of I'd applied for so many and I'd done really well at the radio. Like I was bad at normal school, and then I went to radio school, and I explained that to people, and they're like, "Radio school doesn't exist. That sounds like a mythical place, like a Hogwarts for radio people, like radio school." So I was pretty handy at radio school, and it was sort of like I left that school with sort of some good marks and some good experience, and I was like
full of confidence.
I was like 20-year-old from radio school with no life experience.
It's weird that no one picks me up.
Why isn't the Fox putting me on the drive show? So there might have been a little bit of naivety, and I was sort of resting on my laurels a bit. I wasn't updating my demo. I was sort of sitting around applying for jobs and not really doing much. And he just put the point that like you can sort of take a hold of your own career and you can sort of write your own resume and really put together a body of work with social media. So that put me on that path. And I think now more than ever with TikTok and whatnot, that's definitely, I would say the way to go.
Mm. And then how did you go about trying to make your videos blow up? Like when you first start posting, you're posting like footy parody songs and things like that. They start getting like thousands and thousands and thousands of views. Like how do you go about promoting yourself and getting them out? Or you just publish them and just...
Yeah, so I had the biggest long-term approach to it as you could get. So I had a webcam that was connected to a laptop, and when I would film outside, I'd have to take my laptop outside to film. Like it was my $99 Logitech webcam. But that's all I had. So I was sort of aware that my first 10 videos won't be good just by the look wise and audio wise. My first 20 might not be good. My first 30 might not be good. But I feel like 600 videos in, 700 videos in, it'll start to look and sound the way I want it to. So I sort of just went, to get to video 700, I've got to get through video 5. So I just started making videos with the worst equipment, the worst everything. And then the way they slowly started to pick up was Facebook, the dinosaur social media. People would literally just steal my content and post it to Facebook. But I loved that. I was like, they're getting 2,000 views on YouTube, but AFL memes has got 80,000 views. So I was like, take it. And slowly but surely, Instagram pages started to do that, and then from there, that's when the following started to build.
Where does that kind of attitude to like that long game come from? Because a lot of people, especially creating, and I mean, we're definitely maybe a little cursed with that, where we won't put out as much for not the fear of judgment or whatever it is, but it's like, okay, I know pragmatically in my head to get to 700, I've got to get through a lot.
Yeah.
But getting to 10 is hard.
Yeah.
Or like just that effort to put in and just pump out things that you're maybe not necessarily happy with, or and just to commit to it and go, got to do it.
Well, I just knew that they weren't perfect, and I felt like I was running out of time. So I'd sort of, in a footy record years ago, there was a question with Brendan Goddard, and it said, what was your first job? And it was AFL player. So when I finished school, my parents were like, oh, you should stack shelves or make some coffees. And I said, no, I'll just get straight into radio. Like I've got no interest in part-time work. I just want to work in radio. So that works for the first year when you're sort of smashing down 94.7 The Pulse and chatting to Harry Styles and whatnot. But when you get to 21 and you haven't had a part-time job, and the footy record sort of Brendan Goddard inspiration starting to wear thin, it gets to a point where I was just desperate. So I was so desperate that I knew that I just had to keep creating. And after Danny O'Grady, I shouted him out because like that bit of information sort of put me on this path. But after that sort of hit between the eyes of like, you got to pull your finger out and just get desperate about it and just find a way. That's a bit of a footy saying. I feel like a footy coach. But that really set me on my path of like, well, I don't really have a choice. No one's really picking me up. So this is my only option. So I'm so desperate enough that 700 videos sounds like a good deal. If someone said, if you make 700 YouTube videos, I'll give you 70,000 subscribers, I would have taken that in a heartbeat. And that's sort of how it's panned out. So, yeah.
That's so interesting, that kind of cost versus, well, this is what you'll get at the end. But it's funny because, like, you even look at, to use a footy reference, you go to North Melbourne, this is the team that I go for and Ed goes for, an objectively shocking season. while it's happening, it was the pits. We didn't win any games, and number one draft pick's complaining. But if in January someone came to me and said, hey, in 9 months, you'll have Alistair Clarkson as your coach, you'll have the number one draft pick for next year, you'll have 2 extra draft picks to trade, and 6 of your best 8 players will re-sign for 2 years, would you take it? And you're like, I'll take that for sure.
Yeah.
Not knowing the pain that you have to go through. And you're like, geez, but in July, not knowing what the end is, you're like, this is going to suck. So just having that faith to be like, nah, at the end of this, there will be a carrot is, I don't know, look, I don't know if it's naive or just genius.
Well, yeah, it was
either way it is.
It was sort of like, because I was just this lonely little 20-year-old that just wanted it so badly, I guess. And I didn't want to take any other route besides the route that was like straight, another footy reference, just straight down the middle. Like let's not stack shelves. Let's just work on this. Like and then slowly but surely, the momentum started to pick up and the views started to pick up. Where I did eventually have to get a part-time job. I was washing dishes at the Anglesey Golf Course, and but it got to a point where the YouTube revenue started to rival the dishwashing the pay, and then the YouTube revenue started to overtake it. And then it got to a point where I was like, well, I'm doing 1 video a week. If I do 4 or 5, maybe that'll compound with the views and the revenue. And then, all of a sudden it took probably 3 or 4 years, and I picked the nichest topic you could ever get. Like if you want to put a ceiling on yourself in terms of how many subscribers you can get, pick a sport that no one in the world watches besides this tiny fragment of Australia. But yeah, slowly but surely it started to sort of pay for itself, and now it's my full-time gig. So I don't know.
2020, there was 110 videos that you put out in 2020. So a little bit over 2 a week. How much time are you putting into, or how much time does it take for you to create 2 videos on YouTube per week for the entire year? That's no weeks off.
So within that, I would have had like not many videos come out over summer. So it's really 110 videos in like a 10-month sort of patch.
Footy season.
Pretty much. Like if you look at my analytics,
Yikes.
it's like a big wave like every year, just in winter. So it's funny when Georgia goes, oh, we should go on holidays and go to
not in July, we shouldn't.
European summer.
I don't know. Check this out. I haven't worked in this.
I wouldn't have thought so.
Yeah. George is like, this is a really lovely guy, and he'll be great. And like, he doesn't play AFL, so like, he's not like a professional athlete, so we can go away. And you're like, sorry, mate, this is my job.
I'm sure your partner Georgia was like, how wonderful! Every single year we can go to Europe in the middle of the year.
I'm making heaps of YouTube cash. He's like, oh, this YouTube guy, he's rich as. This will be fine. He'll bankroll my holidays.
Sorry, love. I got to make hay while the sun shines.
Correct.
Because over summer, the sun goes away.
Shockingly enough, the sun comes out for some.
Ironically, with the middle of Australian year being winter, for you it's summer, and then summer is winter. You're living in Northern Hemisphere seasonal, which is ironic that you can't go and visit there to actually see what it's like.
In summer, I'm miserable. I'm like, I can't go outside. I can't shoot my content. Yeah, I'm very upset. But I have to sort of if we want to get into a bit barefoot investor mode, like I have to sort of stash the pennies away to get through as well. Yeah. So I don't always do that. I'm going back to the golfy over summer, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to go
give me a chop out.
Golf talk.
It does. It probably takes. It depends which video. Like some of my better videos, well, I would say some of the better videos that I create take a couple of weeks to sort of edit. I've sort of self-taught myself to edit. I don't enjoy it at all. But when it was 2016 and Danny O'Grady says someone has to make a YouTube video, I was looking around and no one's going to edit for me. So it just got to a point where I was like, well, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to have to do it myself. So, yeah, some of the better videos that I like in terms of like the goal kicking challenges, they can take like a week and a half. But usually maybe a day and a bit, I can usually get a video done that I'm pretty happy with.
Because your big ones at the moment are the vlogs where people will follow you and you take the audience around to watch the Melbourne Demons.
Well, it's a bit meta, like Gogglebox. Like people watching me watch footy.
Well, Gogglebox is basically just ripped off from YouTube. So let's be honest. Yep. I mean, it's the genius, which is so funny because you say it on TV and people are like, that's dumb.
Yeah.
And then you could go to, there's big YouTubers who have channels exclusively for reaction work. Yeah. And it's like, okay.
And people watch people play games. People watch people eat.
Open like mail.
Yeah.
like whatever it may be.
Yeah, it all happens. With the vlogs, which is following you watching as a supporter, watching the D's, the question I had, do you get more views for the losses?
Absolutely.
How does that make you feel?
People want to see you in pain, mate. That's real dark.
Well, so there's been a little bit of criticism for Arsenal Fan TV, because that's a EPL soccer team in England, and this guy goes out the front and interviews the supporters, and all this stuff goes viral when Arsenal lose, and they get like heaps of clickable viral moments. It got to a point where there was a bit of rumor about them sort of wishing that Arsenal would lose.
Yeah.
And they had to come out and sort of say, no, that's not the case.
How cooked is the world that you have to justify? And I'm sure this is where this is going. That you have to be like, no, I don't want them to lose. I would much prefer them to win.
No. So when I'm watching the D's, I hate when they lose. Georgia doesn't like coming to the footy because we lose often, and I turn into like a little kid. Like I can't control it, and I'm embarrassed by myself. And now that sometimes people sort of notice me around the football, I know that people are watching. So like when we played Brisbane a couple of weeks ago and the D's got bundled out in finals, I was like trying to contain my frustration to a point where I started just stomping the ground. And I was just angry. And my Brisbane supporter, best mate, Liam Van Gemst, who came to the game, he's the most mature, sort of in touch with his, very emotionally intelligent. So when they were down, losing to Melbourne early, he was sort of just sitting there. But when we started to lose, I was sort of tapping my feet, and he looked at me and went, what are you doing? And he made me feel embarrassed for the way I was reacting.
That's a bad friend. Just let it out, mate.
Yeah, well, that's what footy's all about. But no, so it gets to a point where when we do lose, I'm gutted, I'm frustrated. I hate editing the video of the loss.
Watch it again. That's just Jerry to me. You've got to watch it again.
I have to go back through, rake over the memories. But it does get more views. and there's one in particular. So I went down to Geelong, and it was in 2018, and we hadn't beat Geelong down there for 15 years, and we were up all game, and it was the biggest underdog story. It was when Christian Petrarca was 21. It was a very young Melbourne side on a bit of a run in 2018, and up by 30 points in the last quarter. Geelong come back. I'm a Geelong-based Melbourne supporter. All my mates are giving me shit. Comes down to the last kick. Zach Tui takes the shot, and I filmed everything. I filmed the mark. I filmed my reaction. He kicks it after the siren, and a part of me was like gutted, like absolutely shattered. I'm a Geelong-based Melbourne supporter. We've lost after the siren, but the next thought was like, yeah, this will go right. This will go okay. So I might put 3 or 4 ads in it, and I'll get it out quickly. I'll get it out tomorrow morning. Like, this is heartbreaking, but you got to pay the bills.
And Georgia's thinking, can't wait to get to Europe.
Yeah,
this is good. This is good Europe money. This stuff. This is very nice.
Another 2-win season, and we'll be off overseas.
Just watching them from overseas. That's bloody very nice.
When you're watching the game, how much, because you're filming it and filming yourself and everything, how much does it take away from, like, if you were to go to a game without taking anything at all, how do you think your experience would change without taking any cameras to a game?
Probably a lot more fun, because it is sort of like I have sort of a couple of my favourite things to do in life was kick the footy and go to the D's games and play PlayStation or whatnot, and I've sort of turned everything I do into a job. So there was a part of me after the first couple of years of vlogging AFL games, and I was like, oh God, I've sort of exchanged a hobby in for like a job, and now I don't know how that sits, because I don't want to vlog every game, but now it sits really comfortable with me. I feel like when I walk around the G now, it feels like I'm at like a local footy club. I sort of know everyone, in terms of like some of the staff from the D say good day, some of the players say good day, the cheer squad members, I bump into them every game. So through my videos, I've met a lot of people throughout the Melbourne Footy Club. So it now sits really comfortable with me sharing my experience. And I think, I'm happy to do that now. But yeah, there was a little moment where I was like, I am sort of, handing over a hobby that I love, like a really sort of personal thing of going to a Melbourne game and giving it to people now. But I've got it down to a little bit of a science now. Back in the day, I would sort of want to capture the moment. But when you're sitting third row from the back and you've got this little camera, it's just blurry and just crappy. So now, once the goal gets kicked, I'll react to it live and try and capture that moment. And then I try and grab a little bit of the replay off the scoreboard and overlay it. And I think that's just a little bit of a better way to go about it. So, in terms of now, I'll just watch the game and react to it straight away. But back in the day, I was trying to capture like the hanger or the goal. But that's probably a little bit too complicated to do.
It's 700 videos worth of experience.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the
It
practice.
took me 650 to get there.
With your with the community that you've built, they're super engaged. What do you think it is that's special about you and what you're doing that encourages that engagement?
I honestly think because I'm a bit of a pleb. Like like there is so many deficiencies.
That's not us laughing, being like, yeah, you are a bit of a pleb. That's us laughing at you, laughing at yourself.
It's just like, far out.
I
The
think
brutal self-assessment of a man.
I
Far
think
out.
that might have been word for word what Danny O'Grady said.
He said you're a bit of a pleb.
No, I'm joking. Just in the meet, Danny, I can't get a job. No, I think to be honest, I've got a lot of deficiencies. I think it is the crappy webcam camera. I think it is the rough editing. I think it is the like I'm not a slick presenter. I think it's the ums and the ahs. I think it's like embracing the imperfection with my channel. And it got to a little point where I was comparing myself. Like I was like, I'm on this platform with Logan Paul, David Dobrik, people with millions of subscribers. Why are they clicking on my videos? I've got to make my videos better. And I just couldn't compete with these guys that had professional editors. And I was just second guessing every video I was making. And it got to a point where I sort of went, I think I should own the crappy camera. I think I should own the crappy audio and try and make it better. But if it's not looking like a millionaire's editing team, that's okay. And just sort of embrace that imperfection. And I think just being very genuine with that and very honest with that has made people sort of get behind the battler or get behind the sort of pleb.
Yeah.
I would say that's one reason. And another reason would be is like I've just got so much in common with my audience. Like sometimes I'll be sort of floating around Woolworths and there'll be a kid in Kmart shorts, a Geelong Footy Club top, and they sort of look the way I would like dress the way I would dress when I was like 15, 16, and they come up and we talk about like AFL evolution, the video game, going to the footy, TikTok, and it's all stuff that I'm interested in as well. So I think there's definitely a real sort of connection and relationship just by the common interests that we have, and I think that's what's built the sort of that following.
Well, I think it is that people watch you, and you look at those big guys that you named, Logan Paul, David Dobrik, Mr. Beast. All of their early videos are just webcam jobs, and they're just guys learning how to use the camera.
Yeah,
and maybe there's like that. There's not a contrast between what people are watching and say your ability. Like you're just you, who is learning their craft, and that equipment kind of grows with you. So there's there's no contrast there. It's not like, oh, this doesn't quite fit. It like it all just goes together and makes people feel comfortable. It's like, oh, you're my friend who's doing this. Yeah, which is quite a nice feeling for people.
Yeah, for sure. And I think because it's so local as well. Like I'm not in Hollywood. Like that'd be weird to be goal kicking challenges.
Yeah, they'd be like, goal. What?
Detroit.
What do you mean? Yeah, this is weird. You should do one though. Go over all the Australian punters.
What do you need to take like your channel and your career and everything you want to do to the next level? Are there things that you want or that you think you require to go to that next level?
So many things, but I'm sort of stuck between. Like there was a couple of years there where I was like, I was making YouTube and I was thinking to myself, if I don't have the show or if I don't break into TV or if I don't get there, it's a bit of a fail. And ever since sort of getting the podcast this year and a couple of other things, I'm really comfortable with where it all sits. And also seeing like all I wanted was growth. I want more subscribers. Where are they? I must find them and make them sign up. But it got to a point where I was like, well, maybe I should look at it as if like how to keep them here or like how to serve them or so yeah, I've sort of switched up a little bit where it was like this sort of conquer mindset where now it's like I'm so comfortable if this is the grand final. Like if this is the pinnacle of my career, which is, you know, doing my pod once a week, doing a couple of YouTube videos, I make a sort of semi-living 6 months of the year, save it up, get through the next part of the year.
Never go to Europe.
Never go to Europe. Maybe Queensland one year.
Yeah.
Depends if the D's are playing up there or not.
yeah, if the D's are on, we'll head up. So right now, I'm not really looking for a next level. I just want to sort of sharpen up on what I'm doing at the moment. And if this is the grand final and this is the pinnacle, and in 6 years when I'm at the office job and telling my colleagues, no, I swear I was at the Brownlow after party, I'm pretty content with that. So right now I'm just sort of trying to enjoy what I'm doing at the minute.
Do you think about a backup job if you're like if you get to a point and you're like I'm ready to throw it in? Or you're just like, I'm just going to keep rolling as it is? Or are you going to be like King Dishy of the Anglesea Golf Club?
Yeah, maybe I could get to head Dishy. Yeah, that would be good.
Jesus.
You get a special apron, I assume.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think, so my backup is, surely the D's need an editor one day. So like,
surely.
So like,
one day a week.
I don't like editing, but I edit for myself. But I think I might, if Christian Petrarca needs me to cut up his, cooking TikToks, maybe I could do that.
You're on.
I can't cook, but I can definitely whip them up. So a part of me goes, some of these skills that I've acquired and just self-taught, I don't love doing them. But if I had to sort of fall on my sword, accept that people stopped tuning in at 75,000 subscribers in 2022, and I had to do something else, I think, surely I could just cut up stuff for other people.
I don't think that's happening anytime soon. I can't actually wait to play this. 75,000 people 2022 in like 5 years when it's like
76.
a million people and you're like, we had him at 75. Get stuffed, everyone. You guys are all bloody jokers. When did you come to that feeling of less conquer, more kind of smell the roses?
When my conquering sword snapped in half in 2020 and 2021. So after 2019, I did some stuff with the AFL. My channel grew like 20 or 30,000 subscribers, and I was like, this will happen every year. I quit my job at Kiss FM Street Team, and I said, I'm doing this full time. And then sort of 3 months in, football said they're going on a 12-week hiatus and then moved to Queensland for a year. There was no extra gigs. People who tune into footy stuff were like, it's not on in Victoria, so we're not that interested. And my channel just died for a little bit. So I started trying to make FIFA videos, and they weren't working. I started trying to sort of overcompensate. So, because one video a week wasn't working, I was like, well, if I make 6, 7, 8, it got to a point where I just started to try and work harder to try and get myself out of that little rut. But little did I know that the world was sort of in a bit of a weird place, and I just had to ride it out. So, yeah, in 2020 and 2021, the growth really slowed up. The gigs with the AFL and like the Melbourne Footy Club and whatnot just stopped, obviously because of COVID, and the footy industry wasn't in Victoria. And that's when I sort of went, well, like, maybe I am stuck in the mid 40,000s, or maybe the Instagram isn't going to grow, but maybe that doesn't matter. Maybe just making content for the people that have signed up now might be the goal. And then, like, I take a lot of pride in it. It sounds really silly, but if people sort of back me in to make the content for them and to entertain them, I take that as like a bit of a responsibility. So I just wanted to double down and really give them, like, and I know it's just subscribing and they probably see a video and flick off, but the support I get, it really does motivate me to do the best for them. So it just got to a point where I was like, well, if it doesn't grow any further, I'm so content with where it's at, and I'm happy to live in this for the next little bit.
Well, I'm sure it's not an accident that your attitude to anyone that commits and invests in you is to treat them well and to give them things that are good quality, and then your subscriber base almost doubles once the world returns to normal. Like, I don't think that's a coincidence. I think that's a reflection of what you're doing.
Yep.
As far as other online creators, are there anyone that stands out for you? Are there any people, one, that you find as contemporaries who are kind of in your world at the moment who are working, and then the second part of that is who are other creators who you're like, they're killing it. That's what I want to do. I want to get there. Not that you're looking to get anywhere because you're content and happy, but we get that point.
People who are listening in who are going to employ me somewhere are like, oh, he's happy. We won't.
Oh, actually, I won't employ him. That's fun.
We can offer him less money.
The AFL like, do you want to be the sole vlogger for the whole AFL? And I actually heard that he was happy.
He's really happy with just YouTube. We'll just leave him.
Oh, okay, guess he doesn't want the job. All right. Do you want to coach the Bombers? No.
75,000 people listening to this episode who actually subscribe are like, he doesn't need us anymore. He's happy.
Unsubscribe.
What have I done? There's so many people.
At least you can go to Europe, though.
Absolutely.
There's so many people that inspire me. For those couple of years during COVID where I was just sort of stuck in Torquay, away from the industry, no one to collaborate with, that was something that I really missed doing. So this year working with some of the TikTokers who have started to make AFL content and come through the ranks in the last year or two, like the Shepmates. And
we had them on 2 weeks ago.
Yep. They're so good. They're so talented, so funny, so tall.
Very tall.
Surprisingly, yep.
Very tall.
Prime Train.
I love the Prime Train. He's a cult figure.
We'll ask you the same question that we asked them, just to interrupt this question. Do you think Prime's a bit of a goose?
I think he knows what he's doing.
Great.
I think he knows what he's doing.
Not that we think he's a goose, but he's quite clearly a flog, but the way that your mate is a flog. So, like, you can be a flog and people still love you.
So it's definitely, it's like, he is an absolute all-time legend, like, when we've collaborated together, and he's a gun as well. He's very good on field. But it's like the wrestler who, like, leans into it and
he's turned heel.
Yeah. He's turned heel.
Yeah.
He's got, speaking about cult followings, the amount of kids that come up to me and say, do you know Prime Train?
Yeah.
And I go, absolutely. But that TikTok wave that's sort of come through in the last little bit, the 9 to 5 boys as well. It's been so good to collaborate with sort of like-minded people that are doing stuff in this space. In terms of people I've watched for years, like, I grew up on a bit of a darker side of Australian YouTube. Well, not darker, but
where's this going?
a little bit less family friendly with your Alex Williamsons and
your
Frenchies, your Josh Wades. In terms of, like, other YouTubers, there's, like, I've liked what Logan Paul's done for a long time. KSI. I was a big Joe Weller fan. I don't know if these are just sort of names going over your head, but I was inspired by, I guess, the English scene and, like, the FIFA and the soccer style. And
Chris MD
and Cal Freezy and all those.
You basically are Chris MD. Australian version
of
Chris MD.
And didn't you say Prime's KSI?
I said Prime was KSI to Shepmates.
Yeah.
If you guys are doing all side men, I mean, Chris MD not there, but if you're doing side men, you're in it. Who is KSI?
Wow, geez. Maybe the Prime.
Prime on attitude, but you on work rate, I would have thought. Like,
maybe.
How good are you at boxing?
That's a great question.
I've got a stiff jab. I don't know why I've started a fight. I can't.
All right, Kados and Prime Train.
Versus
You heard it here. We'll be the promoters. We'll put it together.
We're going to clip this up, put it on TikTok. Prime versus Kados, YouTube, boxing match. Let's go.
So on the Wii, is that how it? Like, there's so many people in this space, and Hamish Blake's got a great saying that I saw him say once, which is a rising tide lifts all boats, or something like that.
I mean, that is incredibly generous to attribute that quote to him, but I'm sure he'll take it. But I reckon that one's been said before Hamish came up with that one. But if that was me, I'd be like, geez, I'd bloody take that. That is very good.
You know, when you do like an assignment and you have to reference it, I feel like I'm stealing things when I just regurgitate other people's saying. So I make sure I give credit. Like, I'm the biggest credit giver. So with our football podcast, I'll be like, yeah, Kane Corn said this. Yeah, Jared Waitley said this. And my co-host goes, I feel like if we keep just crediting people...
People will just go listen to Kane Corn and Jared Waitley.
Yeah. So now I just steal them.
Yeah, good.
But, yeah, I don't know.
Well, to credit, this is one that I will credit to Hamish Blake, that he's saying from his grandpa, and this is something that I feel like that you do. He said that his grandpa once told him, you should have more fun making your money than spending it.
Yeah, well, when I spend my money on Kmart shorts and geez, not a
But-
lot else. I feel like the making it's the funnest part.
Yep.
So yeah. What I was going to say with the Rising Tide thing was just it's so much fun that heaps of people are sort of creating content in Australia, but also like making footy stuff at the minute. But yeah, I think you're spot on in terms of. Well, I've never been a bit of a money man until like the last little bit where
And now I've made some.
Now
I love it.
I've
It's
realised-
grouse.
Pretty good.
When I didn't have a part-time job trying to make it and had no money, had no
Yeah.
thought for it.
Didn't
And now that
care
I've got
about it.
some,
living at home, wasn't paying rent. It was lovely.
man,
now, I'll
I'm
tell you
having a
what,
sick time with cash.
guys. I don't know if you've heard about this thing, but it's called money. And
Don't
I'll
worry.
tell you what, you can do stuff.
I
with
bought so many beers at the Brownlow after
Oh,
party. Hey,
mate.
Tommy, you want a beer? No worries,
Mate,
mate.
you don't
no
buy
worries.
beers at the Brownlow after party; they get paid for.
Oh,
over the bar,
yeah, by
don't they?
Cados. That's right.
Exactly.
Money man over here.
yeah, we'll go on the VDLs. Old fashions were out at one point. No, so I wasn't a bit of a money man, but now that I'm seeing how much I spend recently, especially sort of on content, I have been a bit more mindful. But I've been massive on just investing in yourself as well. So, the inside joke with my mates and my co-host and a lot of other people is like some of the clothes I wear or some of the shoes I have. But the investment is just doubling down on myself and I guess gambling on yourself. Like there was definitely moments in my career where I had to bite off a bit more than I could chew and get the camera, or I had to work a couple of extra public holiday summer night shifts for the golfie to get the microphone. So my favourite part is when you gamble on yourself, you back yourself in, you upgrade the equipment, and you get like a bit of reward with it, with the views, or like someone will comment, "Oh, this looks a bit better," and you go, "All right, we're here. We're slowly leveling up. It's all a game."
Do you reckon? Do you reckon that validation's the wrong word, but do you think that when you bet on yourself, it pays off more than if you go the opposite?
Bet on someone else. I bet on Prime.
Bet on
Just
Prime.
back the Prime.
Bet on
I
Prime.
probably would right now, to be honest. Bet on the Prime and the Shepmates. Look, it's funny because I will bet on myself in certain situations, but then in other situations I'll second guess myself as well. So it's quite funny, the duality of man. How was that?
That was
That's pretty good.
Hamish Blake, another one
I
from
know,
him.
he's-
I
Another
looked at
one
the
from-
plants and I just thought, let's go there.
That was good.
Um,
The human condition. That's it. That is absolutely it.
So, I think that sort of confidence and backing in yourself is definitely a part of it, and it's from like the content idea and the execution, but it is like I've got this certain amount of money and I need to reinvest it in myself, and it does sound silly to other mates who go, your car's awful, this is awful, but you're getting a new camera, but to someone like me who knows that is the next step for me to get somewhere, it's a bit of a no-brainer.
Well, Kados, before we finish up the interview, we have a bit of a choose your own adventure. So we finish each interview with 5 options: who, what, when, where, and why. There's a question attached to each one of those words, and you pick 2 of them. So which 2 of who, what, when, where, why?
I'm going to write them down because I always forget.
So
when.
I just say who,
Yep.
what.
And you don't know.
So I
There's
just
going to be
pick 2 of them.
correct. Who, what, when, where, why.
It's
And
like
there's a question, but you don't know what the question's going to be.
This is like a card game where someone explains the rules and you just don't listen for the first
Oh,
little bit.
bro,
Yep.
every person
Um,
we talk to,
I'm sorry.
and we say no, and we explain it, and they go, "What did you just say?"
And
We're
then
like,
we use the same explanation the next week, despite
exactly the
the fact
same.
the
Like
first person goes,
10
"Don't
interviews
get
in
it."
a row.
I knew as you were explaining that, you were like rolling your eyes going, I'm going to have to repeat this.
I was like,
And I
I hope-
apologise.
I was like, I hope I get it right because then I can rub it in Simon's face. 'Cause
Yeah.
sometimes we take it in turns.
I'm going to say why.
Why?
And-
And what would be the other one that you want to do? Who, what,
Um,
when, where, why?
Where?
Where?
Yep.
Okay. The why. Why did you move into podcasting this year? The podcast goes all
Is
right.
this like
you
quick
can
fire
choose-
or is this
Nah,
like...
you take your time. Yep, you sit in it.
I'll think of it. No. So I'd had a couple of... Well, it dates back to 94.7 The Pulse, community radio. I've always wanted to have a show. And I've had a couple of podcasts over the years that I've done out of the spare room at home and whatnot. One was called the Back Pocket Plugger Podcast, which is sort of goes all right, which is the footy podcast I do now, but that was just us doing it at home. And then the one before that was the No Meat on the Cleats podcast, which was a little bit rogue, a little bit out there with one of my best mates, Cooko. So
Cuckoo sounds like a rogue unit,
No,
by the
still
way.
no meat on the cleat with Cuckoo sounds like absolutely anywhere. That sounds like how you get cancelled and how you lose 75,000
That's all I
subscribers.
need. Gone.
They have been privated. I'm
Yeah, I can guarantee.
Meat on the cleat with Cuckoo.
No meat on the cleat.
Jesus.
Wow.
Oh, this is an after-hours job for
Yeah.
sure.
Oh, no, this is happening 94.7 The Pulse. You with Kados and Cuckoo with no meat on the cleat.
As I said, we grew up watching Alex Williamson and Josh Wade, so we definitely were trying to emulate some of that sort of content. Great show, by the way. It had a little bit of momentum, but it got to a point where, we had to lean into the brand-friendly stuff, and that had to fall by the wayside. Look, shows and podcasting and radio is something I've definitely been interested in a while. At the end of last year, after 2 years of being I felt like I was banished from the industry, but really COVID hit. Resources were down. The content that I make in football went interstate, so there was nothing on. But I had sort of done nothing throughout the last couple of years, and the channel had stagnated, that I was in a real hole. I'm filming a little bit of a series where 6 of my mates take on 6 creators in a half-court game of football. We played on the weekend, and I've got like full custom Guernseys.
Sick.
So at the end of last year, and we're going to do like Fox Footy graphics and slow-mo and commentary. So at the end of last year, I was waiting for a call about the Guernseys, and I was eating some avocado on toast. I was nearly finished and I was starving, and I had like a bite and a half to go, and this no number called, and I went, well, this is the Guernsey company. I'm either going to let this go cold when I'm starving, or I just eat it now and call them back in like a minute 30. So I just let it through the keeper.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
Ate my avocado on toast, called them back, and I was like, organised the Guernseys, and the person on the other end of the line said, "Oh, g'day, it's Dill Buckley. How are you going?" And I went, "Well, there's no chance you work for the jumper company, because you're travelling very well."
Yeah, I know who you are.
Former guest of the show, Dill Buckley.
Oh, you're into custom Guernseys. That's weird.
Yeah. What are you doing there?
That's a very
I
strange,
thought you were doing Dylan Friends.
strange pivot, but all right, I guess we're here. So I'm looking for 6 jerseys.
So I started chatting to him, and look, to be honest, he's fired up Producy, where he's sort of, I guess, managing upcoming podcasts. And he just said to me that that Spotify were looking to create like an original podcast. And from there, we went from there. So this is sort of my first step in a bit more of a professional sort of show point of view. It's not.
Had you spoken to him before?
Never in my life. No, I DM'd him and been like, "Love your stuff." And I think I tried to collaborate a couple of times. Busy guy. So no, that was the first time I'd ever spoken to him. Wow. And he was like, "Oh yeah, for the last sort of 6 months, I've been putting your name up to Spotify. I hope that's okay." And I was like, "Yeah, that's all right." Yeah.
I think I've heard of Spotify too.
Yeah, all right, I guess so.
I mean, are they getting into custom jerseys? Like, how is this working? Like, I need 6 larges. Like,
so that was a long-winded answer, but that's how I got
Good
into Firing Up Goes All Right this year. And once again, it was a bit of a level up, and it was a bit nerve-wracking, like having players come in and chat. The anxiety and the nerves were definitely up every episode, even though some of them are like 19 years old and they're in their second season. I'm still like, mate, you are a footy player. But I feel like slowly but surely you could probably hear a bit of the progression over the year of like the confidence and the flow. And these last few episodes have been some of our best. So I've been, loving that.
cool. And then our where question is, where is Kados in 5 years?
Good one.
Jeez.
Not in Europe.
He's not in Europe. Exactly
We've
what I was about to
established that.
say. Yep, he's definitely not in Europe in summer.
He's in so much trouble for today. This is so good.
Sorry, Georgia.
Yeah.
No.
Georgia's in studio
Yeah.
for everyone at home, just sitting off to the side of the camera,
Um,
thoroughly enjoying any European sledge. This is great.
Where am I in 5 years? I still crave like that level up process. So I'll be 32. The Diesel will have won another flag.
Yes.
I reckon we've got one more in this group, bare minimum. I think I'll be in Melbourne, and I think I will be still doing YouTube. I think I'll still be doing the podcast, and I think I will have snagged hopefully like a bit of a pinch-hitting sort of TV gig somewhere would be nice, but if not, that's okay. I'm happy with what I'm doing.
Smelling the
No,
roses.
you're not.
That's
No way.
what I
Don't
like.
say that. Don't put that
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah.
Take it.
So that would be nice, but no matter where I go or what I do, I still want YouTube to sort of be there. whether it's one video a week or a vlog still. I've sort of worked hard and built that up over the last few years. I don't want to be one of these guys who sort of gets taken somewhere else and they abandon where they came from.
Pump and dump, they call that.
Do they? Yeah, that's a good one.
Kados, thank you so much.
Mate, absolute pleasure. Anyone,
What a chat.
check out Kados38 on Instagram. Check out Kados's YouTube channel. Check out Goes
Don't type
Alright.
in Kados into YouTube, though, because that's not it. There's another person who's ripping you off, mate, on YouTube. Kados.
Yeah.
Could be you, though.
Yeah, and then
It's
there's
Caden MacDonald.
another DOS that pops up on TikTok, the DOS and D show. So
Outrageous.
Yeah.
I might have to
Outrageous.
see some legal people in this building.
Absolutely.
And sort it
We've
out.
got some lawyers. We'll sort you out. Mate,
Do we?
thanks for coming in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, sure. No worries.
Thanks for having me.
Kados,
It's been
thanks
unreal.
for coming.
Appreciate it. Mate, we didn't get
Done.
to heaps of stuff. There was like ball magnets and the potty and heaps of stuff. You're too busy. You're too busy.
I can ramble for days about myself.
I know, I loved it.
That's good.
Mate, I loved it. I could talk to you for about 4 hours,
You can
but
definitely.
unfortunately we
Again,
have
we
to.
can do a part of 2.
Yeah, let's do a part 2.
Yeah, this feels like shit.
Yeah.
Like now
Yeah.
it's shit to hear
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, it sucks.